Welcome everybody to Breaking Bread present the mind class. I'm sorry, the master class on mindset. Thank you to everyone for showing up for themselves today. I appreciate you guys for being here. This is our fifth and final master class, and of course, the last master class is going to be on the most important thing, and that is the mindset. I always have this class throughout the year, but definitely at the end of the year, so we as traders can come together and release what's been weighing us down this year and help rebuild each other with healthy habits, languages, and responses. So this is the space where we're going to do that. We're going to get it all off our chest. We're going to leave 2025 and 2025, and we're going to move forward with better habits, better languages, um, just overall better us moving into 2026. Before we begin, I do have to introduce my panel for today. The first person, I cannot call her my financial advisor, but I can call her a financial specialist. She's been a financial specialist for over 10 years. Over 10 years. So if everybody can welcome Miss Pat Lewis to the call. And she a trader. She traded a little bit. She traded a little bit. But welcome Miss Pat Lewis to the call.
Hi, good morning. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here. My next guest is a fully licensed therapist. She's been a therapist for over 20 plus years. She's not a trader yet. I'm trying to get her in there. I'm trying to get in there. But everybody welcome Miss Erica Martin.
Good morning. Good morning. Thank you for having me.
You sound tired. Uh, Birthday wore out. And then last but never least is my spiritual advisor. This is the lady, the woman that keeps me aligned when life and the market tries to pull me off course. I call her Mama P, so we gonna call her Mama P. Welcome Mama P to the call.
Hello, everybody. Hello, beautiful people. And thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here. All right, so some house rules before we move forward is first respect this space. We go respect each other. This is a judgment-free zone. There's no judgment on this call. Any other call, you might get some judgment, but on this call, this is a judgment-free zone. This is a open forum call, so if you have a question, you can just unmute yourself, ask it, or you can just put it in the chat, and when I have time, I'll get to it. What's going to make this call greater is participation. We learn from each other's through our experiences. So we can share these experiences, help each other out to get through those experiences. That'll just make this call just that much better. And we got to get uncomfortable, which is hard. It's going to feel like pain, but we're so comfortable in these habits that we have created. We got to break these habits, and the only way to break these habits is to get uncomfortable. So we got to do that together today. We got to get uncomfortable for us to grow. Any questions before we begin? Any questions before we begin? Everybody good? Everybody ready? It's gonna be hard. It's gonna be tough, but we gotta get through it. Before we get into it though, I want you guys right now. You can either write it down or just keep it in your mind. But I just need you guys to come up with one belief or maybe even a habit as a trader that you want to leave in 2025. Now, this has to be something when it shows up, like the pressure is on, like it just hits. So just come up with that one belief or that one habit. I'm gonna give you guys a moment to think about it. It might just be me more than one, but come up with that one habit or thought or belief that you have. I'm gonna give you a moment, and then we're gonna return to that belief towards the end of the class. Just write one. Just one. Just one. Everybody got the one? Everybody good? You got it? It was probably already in the front anyway. All right, so this first part of the class is called couch time. Couch time is a space where we slow everything down and we deal with the part of trading that doesn't show up on the charts, and that's the human part. This isn't a lecture. This isn't me telling you what you guys need to be doing. This is just a guided conversation. So I'm going to present a hurdle that we deal with in the trading space, and we're going to unpack that topic. Um, We have to identify why it's happening, because when we do that, we can take the power out of it, and then we can rebuild from there with practical tools that's going to help us get through. Cool? Y'all good? Like I said, this is an open forum, so if you want to unmute yourself or you want to put a question in the chat, you definitely can, and we'll help each other out through that. The first topic is money stress versus market stress. Now, this is when we trade money that's tied to rent, to bills, or if we feel like we have something to prove. This is all coming from a place of emotion. So now we're trading out of a space of survival and not execution. So what do we start doing? We start forcing trades because we want to make something happen. Or we'll oversize our contracts to try to speed up the results. Or we'll take the B plus setup or the C plus setup or the D plus setup, um, and then we start to feel panic during these normal pullbacks. Now, for me, I always speak from experience. I've definitely experienced this feeling when I fired my boss in 2023. It's a different feeling when you don't have that steady income coming in. That's a different hurdle that you have to go through. But I feel often time that folks think that the habits that we have in trading are something new, but we don't realize that these are habits that we've had our whole lives. Some of us seen our parents struggling growing up, right? Sometimes they had the money, sometimes they didn't, and that showed how the lack of security affected the family. So now, as adults, we try to protect that security. So trading isn't about the opportunity anymore, but it's the protection. So every red candle feels like, oh shoot, we're in trouble. What do we do? Like, so it's controlled by that emotion. So when someone has the responsibility to be the provider in their family, or what I like to call the fixer in the family, they begin to trade from survival instead of calculated release. So my question to the panel and to the group is, how does money pressure distort our trading, and how do we rebuild a healthier relationship with money? Anything there.
Well, financial pressure can definitely impact your trading day because it causes you to stop trading high probabilities and you start chasing illusions of relief, like you were saying. Um, your trades, it becomes like your urgency and the patience feels like it's too expensive, you know? So I think something that you can do would be to trade risk capital only, meaning trading with money that is not associated with your bill money or any other obligated funds. The money that you are trading with is money for trading. Um, and an example of this could be something like when you go on vacation, right? Your rent is already paid, groceries is already handled, gas, all that stuff is already done before you go on vacation, right? So your vacation fund exists only for the enjoyment and experience, not survival. Okay. So risk capital works the same way. Your life should not feel collapsed if the trade loses, or you know what I mean? Like, so I think that's one of the things that you can do is trade with risk capital only.
So you say I put a separate fund to the side, I guess, um, for trading that that's not attached to the bills and rent and all that great stuff.
Correct.
Cool, 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 cool. Mama P, Erica, y'all have some.
Yes. Okay, so as I think about the question, some of the words that stuck out for me is survival, which tells me that there at this moment you're moving from an emotionally dysregulated space, which means you're also making very impulsive decisions
Mhm.
because of the pressures, right? So it's important to make sure your emotions haven't taken over. So you may have to take a step back first, create some goals for the year or quarterly to help you reach those goals, but you have to make sure you're in a regulated space. Because if not, the decisions you make are going to be harmful.
Agree, agree.
Yeah, I agree with the both. What was said for me, it kind of dives a little deeper for me. I look at things on the unseen or the part that has not been brought to the forefront. So when when you talk about it is creating a scarcity mindset. And so that kind of brings the fear. And so when you're coming into a part of that, that's what you're going to display. That's the type of energy that you're putting out there, and that's what the feedback you're going to get. So to Pat's point is to create a practical skill, which is like a some type of uh, part to where you only dealing with money. You set boundaries that this is the only thing that you're going to be dealing with, and that's it. Everything else is it's already taken care of, your bills and everything else. So I think for just knowing that what your boundaries are and what you're setting with your that's where you would kind of start with.
Okay, okay. So what I'm hearing is to have a daily, almost like a daily, excuse me, a daily loss limit or a daily, this is how much I'm gonna trade, like those type of boundaries, um, when we're trading. But is it possible to you guys? Is it possible to have this account and still have those same feelings arise?
I think absolutely. I mean,
For sure.
it's our feelings, right? So with every move we make, feelings are created, feelings come up. But we also have to remember that feelings also can be very irrational. So we have to make sure we're not moving from the irrational space. Remember, feelings, although they're valid, they're not factual. So you have to make sure you're making those moves based off of the facts, and creating those plans can help you do that.
Hmm. So, Erica, what would you say is something that they can do or a practical tool that they can use? You said take a moment, right? Or
Yeah. So taking a break, taking a breather, challenging some of what they're feeling in those moments. Because if your statement a lot of the time aligns with, well, I feel and I feel, you're stuck in that space,
mhm,
right? So if all of my answers is based off of my feelings, I in that moment need to take a step back. Again, I may have to challenge it with what I know to be true. So if I'm new to trade, then I know I'm going to have some difficult moments, right? In the business, there are difficult moments. So I may have to challenge a feeling with that. I may have to remind myself to give myself grace as I'm moving through this new territory.
that part right there, that grace part, that
It's important.
is definitely important. Definitely. Anyone have any comment on this or have dealt with this? I'm pretty sure we evolved in some form and fashion has dealt uh, with this type of stress.
I was gonna ask, how do you give yourself grace when you keep doing the same thing over and over again?
Say that one more time. I couldn't hear you.
How do you give yourself grace when you keep doing the same thing over and over again? Like, where's the breaking point? It's like, okay, there's no more grace now.
You well, if I may, you well, you first have to realize how are you feeling, recognize that.
Uh,
If you feel in a way, if that feeling described as frustrated, scared, whatever the emotion that identify how that is, then that's where you want to try to change that. Recognize it. You can't fake it, but understand it, confront it, and then change the wording of what they may be. And give yourself, make peace with that. That's what I call making peace with it. You don't want to recite that, I mean, to repeat that rather, but you want to change it. So let's just say, for an example, if you're scared because you're getting ready to go here now, that excitement is confined or with the scare. You want to put that together, right? When it doesn't, because it both has different frequencies and different meanings. So what you want to do is just kind of refrain from that and say, okay, I'm coming in a space where I know it's bigger than me, but I'm also
Hmm.
learning, and I'm just going to take my time. um, don't go in with this, I'm going to get it or whatever. Just kind of make peace with it and make it comfortable for yourself to be able to see what's happening and know that the market's going to do what it's going to do.
Right.
It doesn't matter. So the point is just for you to actually just kind of pay. That's the grace part. You're making peace with it and be comfortable and be okay with it.
Okay. That makes sense. Thank you.
Uh,
And then I
I,
kind of,
oh, go
oh,
ahead. Go ahead.
I wanted to add to that, because I love how you're viewing the grace. But I think in addition to that, 'cause also here the question is, what if I keep repeating the same thing? Right. So the grace humanizes you in the sense where, we it leaves room for the fact that we sometimes make those decisions and we repeat it. But instead of getting stuck there, we go a little further. Why do I keep doing it? And in what mental state am I in when I repeat those things that has demonstrated no benefit?
I agree. That's what I was gonna touch on too. It's for me, I hear the structure. So like if you keep doing something over and over again, um it's your structure, your foundation. Why are you doing it over and over again like that? Check your rules. Are you veering away from what you're supposed to be doing, and that's why you feel of the way you do when the outcome don't go your way or whatever? Like you have to go back to the basics of what are you doing, and I think that that's important too. And once you, if your process and your rules are intact and it still doesn't go your way, then that's fine, because as a trader, you need to anchor your identity to the process, not your P&L. So long as your process and your steps is good, then you're good. You know what I mean? You can't predict the outcome of the trade, just your process and what you're doing. So, that's my take on it.
That makes sense too. That's good. That's real good.
That was good. That was good. That was good. Um, Thank you for that question. I like that question. All right, let's move on to the next one. I'm sure we've all done this. Revenge trading. Now, this is something that we do. We've all done. Oh shoot, hold on. I'm sorry. Hold on. This is something that we do. And this normally happens after we take a loss, and it's a loss from a trade that we know we shouldn't be in. And this triggers emotions. And now we start trying to get this money back or try to get our lick back from from the market, and this leads us down a emotional roller coaster. So what do? We'll take re-entry after re-entry after re-entry. We start to oversize. We start to ignore the charts completely. Our biases go out the window. Our levels go out the window. We're forcing trades that aren't even there. Like we do all these things to try to get back this loss that we shouldn't have took in the first place. So my question to the panel and everyone is, why do traders struggle to accept the lesson after a loss, and what can help them pause before jumping back in to a trade?
This is really good. I'm sorry. um, the revenge trading. I like that word revenge because a lot of times that can go somewhere way deeper than just coming to the market, right? Like it started somewhere else.
Mhm.
Um, if you're just, let's say, for an example, if you're the type of person that like what you just mentioned, Mo, I'm going to get my leg back as a child. Um, those are energy that morphs and it kind of dormant in you and it
Right.
grows if it's never really addressed. So it's always a revenge. I gotta get back. I gotta get back. And sometimes that can spill over into um, whatever you're doing now, such as bringing into the trading. It's called chasing something that you you need to get back. You know, and when you chase something, it often runs, and so you find yourself to where you're just kind of like chasing your tail, or the dog that's chasing the carrot. You're never gonna catch it because you're chasing it. That's in the frequency of that's the way it's supposed to go. And so at that point, you have to really just stop and just say, no, no, I'm not going in it like this is not that space to do that. And you just have to define and place that where you are. So that's what I would say on the revamp.
Oh, that's funny. Um, is Erica or Miss Pat? I got some on that.
Yes, I feel like I'm going to be a little repetitive because what the big thing that's sticking out is emotional dysregulation. Some of the worst decisions we've made have been, just as people and as individuals, is based off of emotions, right? This whole idea of revenge, if we look at the decisions we make, decisions we have made from an emotional space, we think that we're hurting or we're doing something to others when in essence we're inflicting our own pain on self. So if I'm dysregulated, I should not be making moves in that moment because I'm not thinking rationally. So if you get to a place to where you're starting to revenge trade, you need to got to take a break. You have to take a break and reset. Because when you think you're chasing in the right direction, you're actually setting yourself back because you're not making the right decisions in that moment.
I think that's a difficult thing to do because I feel like, well, at least for me, when I find myself, I can't say I really revenge trade, but I feel like since I know what I'm doing and I'm great at what I'm doing, I feel like it's nothing for me to just go back in, but not realizing in the moment, like I'm moving from emotions. And I feel like
Mhm.
that's what most of us do. We're not recognizing that we're in our feelings. Like we think that we're in control of our emotions, but we're really not. Our emotions are in control of us in that moment. And I feel like it's tough to recognize it because I feel like we feel like we're just so in control of ourselves, but we're really not always. So I feel like that's a tough thing to recognize. So is it something that we could like identify and know, no, this is emotions? Like, is it something that we can think or ask ourselves or
Yeah, I think after the loss, you take a step back and do a check-in. All right, so I just had this loss. Like, really, how am I feeling? And being honest with yourself. Because part of that is also feeding yourself a false narrative that you are okay. When who likes loss? Nobody. So, of course, you're left feeling some kind of way. And so to ignore it is counterproductive.
Mhm.
And so it's continuing to go knowing that you're not all right. And again, why should you be?
Right. Mhm.
I agree. I think revenge trading isn't a lack of discipline. And I think that that's what comes into the mind. Like, I know this and I did wrong, quotation marks. So now I gotta do what's right. I gotta keep going or whatever to get it back or get right. But I don't think it's a lack of discipline. It's a breakdown of structure under stress. And I think some things that you can do would be to initiate a hard stop rule. Like you have hard stop rules, meaning like your daily loss, what's that going to be? And this is before market open. What is your max daily loss? What's your max consecutive losses? These are things that once you hit them, then you're done trading for the day. And that's it. Non-negotiable, like it's over. And then you reflect, like Erica was saying, and you journal, and this is like your recovery time. And you make sure that as you are articulating the lesson from what you just experienced, that if you cannot articulate that and write it down, then you're not ready to trade again. So until you're able to let that emotion go, with what happened and everything like that, then you can proceed, later in another trade. There's always another market that you can get in. You don't have to go right then and there. Like slow it down. As soon as it should be after every loss, whether or not you are, let's say devastated about it or not. Just you should take a moment because I think your brain is not allowing you to process it fully of what's going on. You're so busy, like, okay, let me just go get back into this now. Now, go. And that's not, I don't think that's beneficial.
I think the tough part with those non-negotiables is that when the market is open, we try to negotiate with ourselves to like we put an asterisk on that non-negotiable. And I feel like we all do that, right? Oh, we say we only gonna take 3 trades today. Now we at trade 5 or 6 or 7 or 20 or 20, whatever, right? We put that asterisk on those non-negotiables. And I feel like that's a hard thing to do, but that's something that we must do. We feel like if the market is open, we got to take a trade. Like we just need to be in a trade, and we don't. But I do agree with I like to call it the check engine light. There's a reason to why you're feeling the way that you're feeling, right? And when you feel those emotions, you have to take that sign, that intuition, because I know it before you even push the button to even get in the trade. Something is telling you not to do it, and you still do it anyway. So I feel like you got to take that as a sign to know. Let's stop. Let's catch ourselves, and let's see why we're feeling the way that we're feeling, why we're doing what we're doing, because it screams loud like don't do it, like don't do it, Mo, and Mo will still hit that button, right? So I feel like in those moments we have to catch ourselves and identify, okay, why am I trying to do this? Like, I just took a trade that probably went against my plan anyway. So why am I continuing to go down this rabbit hole of emotions? And we've all done it to where we just be like on some effort, like I'm here now. They can have a whole account. Like we've all done that. But we gotta catch ourselves in those moments to where we identify, okay, now I'm in these emotions. Let me catch myself. Let me pull back. Let me step back and let me identify why I'm feeling the way I'm feeling. And that's the hard part is catching yourself because you're so used to doing it. It's such a habit that we've been doing it for so long that it's comfort to us. It's comfort to us. But we got to be able to catch ourselves and say, nope, last time when I did this, this is what happens. Now, this time I'm going to catch myself. I'm going to step back. I'm going to pause and I'm going to identify what I could do different this time. Yeah, you're crazy. Anybody got any questions on this or any feedback on this revenge trading before we move to the next one? I'm sure we've all done this revenge trading. It's a thing. We all try to get our lick back because mama said don't come home after getting your butt beat. You better
I
be ready.
I gotta agree with Mama Pito. I think that's my biggest problem. Good morning, everybody. I apologize. Good afternoon. Um, that's something that I'm struggling with, and it didn't hit me as hard until when she said it. That you're holding on to something, chasing that rabbit, that carrot, and I think that's one of my biggest struggles now. Looking at it, chasing something that never gonna get, PTSD, what you want to call it that. But I definitely agree with what Mama P is saying on that aspect, because that's definitely my biggest struggles now that I think about it. I don't know how to fix it, but I'm gonna keep trying, keep showing up every day.
Yeah, it's good you recognize that because that's where it begins. You can't fix nothing that you don't recognize. And so you have to, that's where when Mo was speaking earlier about grace, this is where that come in at. You have to change the mindset. So you go to the beginning. I always like to say, when you have an issue, you go to the beginning. You do not know the rules, you can't play the game. So when you go to the beginning, it kind of gives you that guide of how I can start making um, changes and how I can piece this together and be kind to yourself, because that's all where you have to start. You have to start with being okay with you. And so by you doing these different things, and one of the things that I would recommend is, like, you have to always just take a breath. As what Erica was saying earlier, you have to take a step back and reframe, reposition. I like to call it like pivoting, and so words like, how are you feeling? Recognize that. And if you're feeling like, okay, I gotta get this, I gotta get this, then you take a step back and you breathe and you said, okay, I'm taking my time to learn this and it will come. And so sometimes those softer words, you're not lying, you're recognizing it, but at the same time, you're kind of going in it gradually. You're walking yourself, you're pacing yourself with it. And that usually helps. But always before going into trading, you must set yourself up for just calmness. You have to do the breathing techniques. And there's a lot of things that you can do prior to going to these things, but just changing that. Because there is a difference between a mind and there's a difference between the brain. It is not the same thing. And so when we understand how to navigate those things, then it makes it a lot easier.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Agree. All right. The next one, we all deal with this, is the fear of being wrong. The fear of being wrong. So I feel like as traders, we equate being wrong with failure, and that's just ego. But being wrong makes us feel unsafe and unsure. And then when we start to feel this way, we hesitate on our entries. We cut our winners early. What else we do? We let our losers run. Um, we avoid good setups altogether, because we don't want to be wrong. So question to my panel and everyone is, why does being wrong in trading feel so personal, and how can traders separate mistakes from their self-worth? I know I hate being wrong.
I guess I can participate in that, Mo. I know for me, I study, and study. And I get into that mode of, well, if I understood what I studied, then this should work out. And then, but in the back of my head, I'm still telling myself, like, the market is going to market. So you either try it or you don't. And so I'll actually have the snowball effect, is what I'll call it, where I'm like trying to get over my fear of being wrong. So I go ahead and I take the trade. And then when it doesn't work out, or if I also have that bad over leveraging habit playing at the same time of me trying to get over the fear of being wrong, and then I end up wrong, then sometimes I would hit the revenge trading spell, and then I'll get mad. And then once you blow the account, it's like, well, it's gone. And then you got to sit there and think about what you did. So, but I'm learning to get better with it by focusing more on the process. And as long as I follow the process and understand that I'm not going to win everything, and all you can do, I hear you all the time in my head, like, just push the button and it's either going to work or it's going to work. You just have to keep your risk in mind. And that's the only part you can really control is your risk and following the process. So I'll be doing a little better.
I feel like you did something that you didn't even know you did. I feel like you redefined the definition of wrong, right? Because wrong doesn't mean wrong to you no more, right? Wrong to you just mean that, did I stick to the plan or did I not stick to the plan? I feel like if you stuck to
Mhm.
the plan and you weren't successful in the trade, I feel like you can be mad at that, right? But now if you're wrong because you didn't stick to the plan at all, then that's a different feeling, that's a different emotion. But you can't be mad at yourself if you stuck to your plan and price just didn't play out how it wanted to play out. Because eventually, I feel like, well, not eventually, I feel like for the most part, when we're wrong by sticking to our plan, it's just that we're too early. right? Price still gonna go
Mhm.
to where we want price to go. We might just be too early, price just not ready, but it still goes where we need it to go. But I can't be mad at that. I saw what I wanted to see on the charts. Price gave it to me. Maybe I just got in too early, but I can't be mad at that. But wrong when I don't stick to that to the plan, and then that leads into revenge trading. And now we're going down this emotional roller coaster. Um, that's a whole different thing. But I feel like redefining that word wrong is key. It's so key. Because we'll be mad at ourselves because we took the trade and we stuck to our plan, and we be mad at ourselves if it's not, if we didn't win, if we're not profitable. And we'll be mad at ourselves. Like, we can't be mad at that, right? Price just wasn't ready. It just wasn't ready. So I think that redefining that you did, and I don't know if you did it on purpose or not, but I feel like that's a dope thing that you did there.
I'm trying to grow up. I'm getting better.
I think that's a dope thing right there.
I agree. I think that that is definitely awesome because you didn't let your fear take over. Because fear is natural. Like we can be afraid of things. It's when we allow fear to become debilitating and guide the decisions that we make. So I think what you did was perfect as it related to just staying focused and checking in with self. What did I do? Okay, I did what I needed to do, and this just happened. It doesn't mean I'm wrong. It doesn't mean that I'm a failure.
Hmm.
I agree too. I definitely agree. I was gonna say that replacing I was right or I was wrong with I executed or I didn't, because execution is controllable in the market, you know? Outcomes aren't. So you can only control what you can control. So definitely I feel like redefining those words and those terms and what they mean to you and aligning them with a different definition makes your mind accept what's going on better. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Also, when I tell you guys to, like, when you journal your trades, the profits and all that, that's great. But I'm more concerned about how you felt in that moment, the emotions that you felt in those trades, to where it did go right or it didn't go wrong, or didn't go right. Yeah. So when you're journaling, I feel like those emotions is so important. So you're able to identify when you go back and look at your trade. Okay, well, in this trade here, I revenge traded. Why did I revenge trade? Because this, and this happened. And you'll see that it's normally because you didn't stick to your plan. The times that you stuck to your plan, like, those don't really hurt, right? Because I managed my risk well. It just didn't go. It's those trades to where we didn't manage our risk well, we didn't stick to our plan, and now we going down this whole rabbit hole of things. So that journaling is definitely key, I feel. Like, now, I don't care about how much you profited, but how are you feeling in those moments is definitely going to help you um with this the fear of being wrong, right? So it's definitely gonna help. Anybody else on this topic? You used to hate journaling, and now you like it. I hate backtest, and now I'm starting to try it more to understand concepts and price action. You got to, you got to, you got to. But I feel like it's easier now because I feel like the charts, you know what you're seeing on the chart. So I feel like that makes the journaling part easier and the back testing easier when you know what you're seeing. Back when we first started, we had so many different strategies and all these emotions, we didn't know what we was doing, right? So I feel like now it's easier when you can start to simplify your strategy. I think it makes the back testing and the journaling the easier part.
I want to add that I also think it's important to redirect your focus. So you can either focus on what went wrong or you can focus on what can I do better? What's the lesson in it?
Mhm, mhm. We definitely do that. We always want to look at what we did wrong instead of what we did right. That's definitely true. All right, the next one is inconsistent and self-trust. It's kind of like what we just talked about, right? We can see the charts clear as day. Um, and we know where price is going, but then it's almost like before we enter the trade, there's this loud noise of fear or overthinking or doubt that kicks in, and we don't know what we're supposed to be doing. So then we start second guessing ourselves. We need that extra confirmation from all these different discords that we're in. We switch our biases mid trades, and then we just freeze when the lights come on. These are all things that we do because we lack trust in self. So my question to the panel and everybody is, when a trader keeps second guessing themselves, is that a skill issue or an emotional one? And how do we address both? Excuse me. I will speak first for this. I feel like the trust part of this is partly because you haven't gotten the reps up. Like, I feel like with anything that you do, repetition is going to bring the growth. And if you don't trust yourself, you haven't gotten enough reps in. With trading, I always say it should flow. Like, it should be easy. Like, it should just be like the stars aligning, you see it, and all you do is press the button. It's those times to where we're getting in trades to where it's not flowing and you know you shouldn't be in the trade, right? But it should just flow. It should just be easy. And if it's not that for you, it's partly because you haven't gotten the reps up. You haven't picked a specific strategy. I'm going to stick with this, and I'm gonna go into the gym, into the lab every day, and I'm just gonna work on back testing this, forward testing this, and proving to myself that this works. If you keep proving to yourself that it works, and you have your trades that you can use, those screenshots that you can use and know that it's successful, then that trust will slowly start to build. But if you don't have a particular strategy and you're jumping around from strategy to strategy or um ticker to ticker or whatever, you don't have that trust fully. And I feel like that's partly why it's inconsistent on that side. But Miss Erica, do you have something on this?
I think it can be either or, and then it can be both, right? So it could be a skill issue, and then it could be an emotional one, and you could be intertwining both of them. So I think that's again is when you take a step back and you go through what you know. So you mentioned that sometimes you find yourself just trying different strategies. Well, then that means that if you're jumping around, you're probably coming from an emotional space. And so, in those moments, again, as we've talked about before, just taking a step back, but also going through the plan that you've created for yourself, doing a self-check.
Yeah, I agree with Erica, what she just said. I'm gonna always start with self-care, self-love. It's kind of it's like a an internal critique, and that's what you have to do for yourself. Things that is inconsistent that you're doing, and self-trust, that is something that you have to define the opposite of that, right? And that is, what are you doing consistently that you trust, that trust within, and you starting from that. um and then that would allow you to start seeing the things, paying more closer attention to how you feel and how you are, why are you inconsistent. You always ask yourself the why, and then you can see the how the movements are, how you're putting in, how what's coming into your space. Then you can pretty much start from there to start trying to pick away and doing things that will help you the opposite, basically. So that's what I would say on that.
For me, I agree with the panel. It's both. I believe that it starts off as emotional and ends up as a skill gap if you don't address it in the moment. Um, Second guessing is the mind signal to me that like confidence, clarity, and structure are misaligned in that moment. So how to address it to me would be to focus on a tight structure. I talk a lot about structure and rules and stuff like that. Like I'm a numbers person, so that's what I believe in. You need to revisit your rules and make them binary. Okay. Replace the interpretation of your rules with a yes or no condition. So that way it's no debate or no negotiation about what you're doing. You don't give yourself room to guess or doubt or, anything outside of yes, then go. No, then I'm not going to do it. Like, and that's it. That's all. And also another thing is the pre-commitment before the market opens, which I spoke about. Foresee your day, what will you trade? What will you ignore? Your max trades, like things like that. And then you have to, those are non-negotiables. You have to double down on that and that's what you're focused on. You know what I mean? Um, and then another thing is to normalize hesitation as feedback. Okay. So if you're hesitating about something, then you need to process that. Why isn't it clear right now? Why are you hesitating on it? And then you need to fix that because it's probably something to do with your rule. Something like Mo said that you shouldn't be doing, and now you're going to go ahead and do it. You need to address that so you don't keep doing it over and over again. Why? Dig into why are you doing that? Why are you thinking that way? Not in that moment, but you need to address that in that day. And then maybe your rules just need more clarity. Like I said, they need to be binary. So instead of a rule that say, if it looks strong, then, this or whatever, you may need to write that above VWAP plus higher low, like you need to be more direct in your rule. You know what I mean? So that way it's straightforward. And that way, exactly what you working with and what you're doing, in my
Oh,
opinion.
she say VWAP? Whoa, hold on. Hold on. Hold on. Okay. All right. She said VWAP. Y'all heard that? Yeah, I would say some things that you can actually do too. She talked about when you're hesitating, like I tell you guys, like trading should flow. If you're hesitating, just leave it alone. Like just take that as a sign. This is not the one for you. It's always gonna be another opportunity. It should just flow. Like it should be no hesitation. When price get to this level, I'm hitting the button, right? That's it. Like, and you hit the button. Like you either win or you lose. Like that's it. But I feel like if we're using those higher time frames, right, and if the higher time frame goal hasn't changed, then you shouldn't change, right? You should trust that. You should trust that. And I talked about those screenshots. I know y'all love a great screenshot of your wins. Like, go back and look at that and prove to yourself that my system does work. It has won before, so it'll win again. But you have to build that trust over time. Y'all be thinking this stuff is instant. It's not. Like we got scars from childhood that we're trying to get rid of and build off of. So it's not going to be instant. So, but use that as your proof. Like, okay, I know it worked. Like, I know it worked, but you have to prove it to yourself. And you got to get in the lab and you got to build that trust that it does work. I got proof. I believe it. And stay in that lane. Don't even go back to, well, I lost the last time I did this. Nah, go back to the last time it worked and stay in that lane. Let that be your energy. Let that be your focus. Let that be the energy that you're pulling from instead of the negative one that we always run to. Last time it did this, or this time it like no, like stay in that positive lane, which is very difficult to do. Right? It's very difficult to do. I feel like we try to right our wrongs instead of right our rights. Like stay in the right lane, stay in that positive lane, and I feel like that'll definitely help us out there. Anybody else want to speak on this before we move forward? She said. Still trying to nail down my strategy, worked harder to do so the past 2 weeks is coming along. I can tell I trust myself more by being able to buy without as much doubt. Yeah. When you got that one strategy or you got that one thing that you always do and you prove to yourself that that works, you don't need nothing else. It's a lot of strategies out there. It's a lot of ways to be profitable in this market. Pick one, stick with that, prove to you that that works, and it's gonna be easy. Like it's just gonna flow. It's just gonna flow. You say your inconsistencies is definitely emotional based. Definitely. When I take L's, it's based off emotion. Definitely, definitely. But it should just flow. Like, oh, when Price does this, like especially if I pregame great. If I pregame great and I say, okay, I want Price to come to this level and it does it, and I should just hit that button, place my stop loss. I know how much I'm willing to risk on this trade based off Price. right? Based off price. And I'm gonna just let price go. Either it goes or it don't. That's it. And I'm just sticking to my plan. I'm sticking to what I know works. I've proven to myself that it does work. And that's it. There's nothing else I can do about outside of that. That's above me, right? I can't control the outcome, but the process of how I do it, I do control that part. And that's all I can do. That's all we can do. Wish we could control that outcome, but we can't. We can't. I'm on mute this whole time. This is crazy. How everybody feeling? Everybody okay? Anybody have any questions before we move forward? My bad, I was on mute. Feeling good? All right, so this next segment is going to be called Release and Rebuild. This next section is called this because growth doesn't start with doing more. It starts when we let go of what longer serves us. This is the toughest thing to do, not only in trading, but in life, period. It could be clear as day what we need to let go or what we should not be doing or what we should be doing. But since it's become a source of comfort for us, we don't know how to release and rebuild. Excuse me. I asked you guys earlier to think of a habit or a hurdle that we're leaving in 2025. And we're going to do that by releasing and rebuilding um, those. So keep that at the front of your mind as we move through this next section. But we can't take that part of 2025 into 2026. We got to release that, we got to rebuild, and we got to grow. So I'm going to present some of those things and we're going to discuss them as a community as a way that we can release it, rebuild it with something stronger. First one is I'm scared to lose. I'm scared to lose. So let's talk about why this shows up and then how can we rebuild this emotion or this thought that comes in that we have in trading. Um, for me, I feel like it shows up because we take losses personal. At least for me, I take losses personal. Like that, like I take that real personal. Like I want to be so perfect. Like it's just got to be so perfect. So for me, I take losing personal. But what's some other um ways this show up or why this shows up as we're trading?
Hey, what's up, Mo?
Good, sir. What's good?
What's up? What's up? I used to be like, I'm gonna just say recently, like within this last month or maybe a couple weeks, I'm just learning like I'm accepting not being in control. If it goes my way, it goes my way. If it don't, it don't. Like probably, I'm gonna say within the last couple of weeks, I used to get so emotionally involved and so mad because like I did everything right and the trade would go against me. I used to take it so personal, like it was bad. Like, but now to the point, I just know, like for example, like trading yesterday, I know. I'm trying to think what candle that was. I'm gonna say the 10 o'clock or it was the 11 o'clock candle. And it
Mm,
closed inside the fair value gap on the 1 hour, but it still hit the previous day 50, then went
mm-hmm.
up. But
Yeah.
because I know when it closed inside of the fair value gap, I know it's supposed to go up.
Mm-hmm.
But I lost because I guess I was basically too early and I didn't wait until the 50. And then it like, it did the hesitation thing and then it went against me twice. But I'm gonna say maybe about by 11:15. That's when I just accepted the loss and like I was just early on the on the on the up. So I pretty much missed the trade, but it's like I got right back into it on the right direction. So it's like
Mm-hmm.
I just accepted the loss. But before I used to take it so personal, then I would start revenge trading and I just be out of it. But now it's just like I accepted I was right, but I was just early. Or some majority of the time I'm always early for the most part. And it's like I'm finally now accepting it.
That's dope. That's dope. See that growth? Y'all be
Yeah.
the small stuff. It be the small things y'all be overlooking. But you really got to get to a place to where, with your wins are your L's. It's just like it is what it is. It is what it is. As long as I stick to what I say I want to do, it either work out or it don't. So that's definitely a beautiful thing that you starting to build that habit. Definitely.
I love that, and I love that because it also gives room to the fact that loss is just a part of it, right? Loss, loss comes with success, and so it's reframing how you're viewing how you're viewing loss.
Hmm.
Is normal, and what is the lesson I'm learning from it? I think the if you reframe it and look for a lesson in it, you can also use it as motivation.
I think I had to, like, this used to pop up especially early on in trading. But I had to stop saying I'm scared to lose and just say I'm managing my risk and not the outcomes. Like every time it pops up. And I don't want, like, people be thinking I'm crazy when I say this, but these feelings and these emotions and these habits that we've built, they just don't magically disappear overnight. Like it takes time. So I've been doing this 3 years. I still have some of these habits and these moments that try to pop up, but the best part is I'm now able to identify and I can recognize it, and then I can make those adjustments. I think the hard part to do is we recognize it, but we don't want to make the adjustments. You have to make the adjustments after you recognize it. Don't stay in that energy. Don't stay in that zone, right? So once you get that feeling, I'm scared to lose, or you start to feel the A word, that anxious word, right? Once you start to feel that and you can recognize it, then after you recognize it, you gotta switch it. So go have the feeling, let the feeling go, but then you have to counter that feeling with something positive, something like, okay, I'm scared to lose. Let that thought go. Okay, but I'm gonna switch that and I'm gonna counter that with, I manage my risk, not the outcome. Losses are a part of trading, and I accept that. Right? You gotta flip it. You can't stay and keep it floating with the negative thought of me being scared to lose. No, we're not scared to lose. How can we flip it? And I feel like that's the hard part to do. But these don't go away. I don't want y'all to, this don't go away. It don't go away. It don't go away at all.
Yeah, I agree with you, what you said, Mo, to JB point. That's excellent. You can control everything inside, but nothing outside, and that's where you let it go. You be okay with it, having that mindset and having those thoughts. It does help you to see it much greater, so you can have full control of you. And so you pretty much adjusting your emotions, which you must be in alignment. It, you have to align everything. Um, so yeah, I totally agree with that.
Anyone else want to speak on this? I'm scared to lose. Once we release. All good. So we're releasing the thought, the habit, the feeling of I'm scared, and we're gonna flip that with I manage risks, not outcomes. What are some other things that we can say to rebuild off of this feeling, this thought?
think I think you can say, I respect the cost of participation and choose my risk intentionally.
Mm-hmm. 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 That's a good one. Almost like
One
a
more time, one more time.
more time.
I respect the cost of participation and I choose my risk intentionally.
Thank you, thank you.
Mhm.
Get rich or die trying. That's a great one, Marcus. That's a great one. Or you can look at the losses as your tuition that's being paid to the market, and it's not a threat. That's just tuition being paid.
Guess I'm going to expensive school.
You're going to Harvard, sir. Harvard. Harvard. All right, the next one we're going to release and rebuild is we keep letting one losing trade or day define us. Um, this is definitely emotional. Um, but why does this show up and why do we allow this to affect us? And I get this one, especially if you show up and you put in all the work, you prepared, and you feel like you ready when the lights come on, and then it just don't work. And it's fine. Like it's not always going to work. But I feel like the mind takes over and it just focus on this one losing trade or this one red day and it just that PTS kick in and it won't let it go. Um and it just makes it to be this one outcome from your whole trading period. Like it'll just focus on that one losing day or that one trade that just messed up the whole wad. So what are some reasons why this show up? Why do we let it affect us? And then what are some ways we can reframe this thought process or rebuild this thought process?
I don't know if it's one trading day that I look at it like that. It's more for me. I could have couple. I'll have a good little run going or whatever. A couple of days of doing well, and then like that saying, you take 2 steps forward and 10 steps backward. That's what I feel like. I'll be going good, and then boom, I everything that I worked hard for, showed up for, put in the work for, goes out the door with that trade. And then I'm in that downward spiral that everything comes into play, the revenge trade and the PTSD. And it'll go from, you know, blowing one account to blowing 10 accounts. And that's where the rinse and repeat thing happens for me. And then I got to take a break. And that's why sometimes y'all don't hear from me for a couple of days because I'm trying to figure out why is this still happening over and over.
So question for you on those your 2 step forward days, those are great days. And then this next day where you take a step backward, quote unquote, you take a step backwards. Is this a day to where you stuck to the plan or this is a day you did not stick to the plan?
uh, I would say nah. I would say I didn't stick to the plan if I'm being honest, because it's more of, you feel you have a little cushion and okay, yeah, I can, all right, I'm good now, I got it. And then you realize you get humbled real quick that you don't have it. So I would say that I'm not sticking to the plan because I showed patience in those days that I did good. I show patience. I'll be talking to boss or whatever, and we're like, yeah, boom, boom, boom. And then I'm missing for a couple of hours, and he called me like, what's wrong, man? I don't blow that account, bro. You know, yeah, I'm definitely not staying to the plan.
So I feel like in those moments we got to be able to recognize that, like I feel like for you for sure, like like the days where price is flowing and you know what you're seeing, like it's easy for you to hit that button, right? Those are the great days. But it's in those moments to where you second guessing yourself. I feel like you're one of those people that don't second guess themselves. If you second guess yourself, then just go ahead and sit that out. And I feel like that's the hard part. Like you don't want to sit it out. You don't want to let it go for whatever reason, like for whatever reason. But it's recognizing it in that moment though, and being able to step back and be like, nah, this ain't it. And I feel like that's the hard part. Like that's the tough part. We feel like because the market is open, we gotta take a trade, even though price ain't even talking to us. We gonna put our subtitles on and make it talk to us. Like no, like if it's not talking to you and it's not flowing, then you gotta be able to step back and catch yourself and say, no, like not this time. We're gonna do it this way this time. And that's the tough part. That's the tough part. If it ain't flowing and we questioning it and we're hesitating, just let it go. That I feel like that should be a non-negotiable. If it's not flowing and we are hesitating, let it go. Let it go. Let it go. Or control your risk better. Because even with me, when it's trades to where I feel like, it's probably not A plus setup, but I lower my risk. I downsize on my contracts. It's crazy because I feel like most of you guys, most of you guys, when price is not talking to you or you don't see the setup that you want to see, the A plus setup, that's when y'all want to oversize for whatever reason. Like y'all want to go heavier, and then you take that L, and now we just revenge trading, and now we going deeper down this hole that we shouldn't be going down because we should have never took the trade in the first place. But if I see a trade that's not A plus, it's probably B plus, I don't really know, I downsize. I'm not going my normal. I'm a downsize and see how it play out. It play out, it play out, it don't. It don't. But we go down this rabbit hole of I'm a hit 10 here. And then when we take that out, now I'm gonna go 15 and 20, try to get that back. Like it just takes us down this whole emotional roller coaster. But if we can just stop and pause and catch ourselves in that moment, I feel like that's definitely going to help. Mama P or anybody else on the panel have something to say to that?
Yeah, I actually wanted to chime in because what I also hear is looking for perfection in an imperfect system, right? So one loss, and if I can't remember who commented, but you've been doing things good and you have one loss, but you've been doing things well. So am I going to focus on the one loss, or am I going to redirect my focus and say, I've been doing good for the last 5 days. Here's one day of not so great. All right, cool. I can focus on that day because what I focus on the most gains more power. Right. And so if I'm only focused on that loss, I've minimized all the wins that I've had. And if I've had 5 wins to one loss, why am I so focused on that one instead of looking at the fact that I literally just had five?
I feel like the tough part with that is maybe because that one loss wiped out those five. So I feel like that could be a part of it. Like I've taken these 5 wins, and I was profitable, and then this one loss come in and just wipe it all out, and now I'm down. Like so,
And I get that. I get that that can be difficult, right? But you also can't get stuck there. Because again, that's counterproductive. So me just focusing on that instead of saying, okay, so this was a big one, and yeah, it sucks. I'm irritated. I'm hurt. I get it. Let me start back. Let me take the day and start again tomorrow. Because tomorrow gives room for success again.
I definitely agree with you, E. One of the quotes that I have on my mirror is success is not perfection. Success is resilience. So like we were talking about, he's going all this time with being successful, and then all of a sudden, he gets this red day or whatever. And that's just, I mean, like you said, don't focus on the one red day. Focus on all of the times that you were being successful. And then your red days and missteps and things like that, it goes back to the main thing that we've been talking about today, which is, structure. Your structure. What is your foundation like when you're in these trades and stuff like that? Don't let the all the wins take you away, and now I'm just, out here doing it. I'm just taking these trades and I'm feeling myself and all that. No, stay grounded, stay in your structure, and let that be that. And I feel like also, um, when you think like this trade loss, I feel like the way it processes in the mind is I'm off, I'm not good, I messed up today, right? And that's not analysis. That's not how that's supposed to translate. Analysis is the charts, the entries, your rules. Like it's in the trade. Focus on that, not on, what you did. 'Cause the feeling that you feel, I guess, is what, I'm telling you not to dive into those emotions and tie them to that. Like just stick to what happened, the facts.
the facts. Agreed. Mom P, you got something for this?
Yeah, no, I agree with what you all said. I mean, it's practically the same thing. It's about just acknowledging those things and don't allow them to define you because it's not of you. It's a place that you are that's already set in its own space. And so you just have to align yourself and make those proper adjustments. So even if you're feeling away, just always, um, because these things is like life lessons. Like these are, you're actually micromanaging yourself at all times. Like you don't get a day off. This is what you have to always recognize and stand with that, acknowledge those feelings, and then always do the opposite of what those feelings are because it is the law of polarity and it's gonna happen. These are things that happen, so you cannot overlook it. And so when you do, you're not really confronting these emotions that always change like the waves in the ocean. So you just have to acknowledge those things.
Agreed, agreed, agreed. Okay, so how can we rebuild on this hurdle, this feeling, this thought? What are some things that we can say to ourselves or when this pops up? Anybody?
Let's reset and start again tomorrow. I mean, not letting it stop you, right? Not getting stuck there. Start
I would
tomorrow
say
is a new day
I would
for
also
success, for the door for success.
I would also say I think you touched on it is the losses don't decide who I am, discipline does. I think you could flip it to that. And then also we judge ourselves based off of execution and not our P&L. Um, I feel like that's another way to rebuild off this feeling. Base it off your execution. What did you do right? Not your emotions, not your feelings, not your P&L. What did you do right? Um, I think will definitely help on these letting these red trays define us.
And more recently, I just started like doing like a manifestation, like writing stuff into existence. I seen it like on a YouTube joint. That helped me like as far as my mindset and as far as the emotional standpoint. Whereas though I don't get as mad at myself and like my mindset, like I go in with like a clearer mindset. Like I feel like I look at the positive in each loss. And
Mm-hmm.
like when I write down, I forgot what it like when I write down basically I write down the rules, like I'm consistent, I'm confident, and I'm disciplined. Like I write down like a lot of that stuff before I go to sleep, and like that helps me from an emotional standpoint. Cause like I got the technicals down, but it's more so me versus me, like you always say. So it just be coming down to my emotions and basically making the right decisions from that standpoint.
I like this growth we got going on, Jeff. I,
Yeah, yeah, I came a long way.
I like the growth. Yeah, definitely. I do that every day. Manifestations before the market open, after the market open. You gotta make yourself a believer. You gotta believe you more than anything else. So yeah, we take these red trades. Yeah, we take these red days, but you got to make yourself believe like this is for me and this is what I did right and that's what I'm gonna focus on and I'm gonna build off of that energy. We could focus on the negatives if we want to, but for us to get to where we trying to get to, you got to stay positive. You got to stay in that lane. Got to. But I feel like something that we do, and maybe Erica, you could speak on this, is that we don't know how to separate our identity from our income. I feel like we base our identity off our income. So um, if our P&L is low, then we low. If our P&L is high, then we up, right? So I feel like we base our identity off of that, and I feel like that's something we can't do. Like we can't. Our losses don't show our worth, and our wins don't show our worth. Like I don't. It's not tied to that. Like that's not who you are, right? That doesn't define you. That doesn't make you. But I feel like we have a tendency of doing that, especially on social media. We see it all the time on social media. Like,
Yeah, you got to see yourself as bigger than that. I mean,
yeah,
just like, our careers are our careers. They're not who we are. That's our life. That may be how we make our money, right? That's what maybe how we invest our time, but that's not who you are. So you have to see yourself beyond that. You got to be able to separate the two and stop comparing. Part of it is also comparing. Well, the
oh,
person over there has all these wins. Okay, that's them. That's nothing to do with you.
well, since you brought it up, the next one is I compare my.
Okay.
Since you brought it up, I compare myself to everyone else. Now this is social media crazy. That's why I try to stay away from social media. But social media, right? It highlights, it gives you the highlights, but it doesn't show you any type of context of how they got there or any of that, right? And this happens in the win sections. You compare yourself, you go in the win section, oh, they did this and this in 6 months, or they did this and this in a year, and all this stuff like that. Like, and we compare ourselves to these other people's, but you don't understand the struggle. Even if they did it in 6 months and you're in year three, all right, cool. That ain't your story. That ain't your journey, right? We still trying to get over the hurdles we trying to get over. They gonna get over the hurdles that they gotta get over. But this comparison stuff,
Well, it's counterproductive and it's irrational. Like the only way that I can really compare myself to you is if everything looks the exact same. And that's just down to how our brains process, which is not, which is irrational, right? Which it just can't happen. So and it's not helpful. Me being stuck on how you did things again, I don't know how I'm not sitting there with you. I don't know your process. I don't know your struggles. I don't know any of that. All I can really compare myself to is myself. That's it. And figure out where areas I need to grow in. But yeah, it's so counterproductive to compare yourself to other people.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. Especially on Instagram and social media, period. And when you compare, you're comparing your full context, like everything that you're going through to their highlight, to that win, to the one win that they're showing you or the one thing that they bought with the win or whatever it is. But you're comparing your whole journey to that. And it's fundamentally like unfair. So it doesn't even, doesn't make sense. It's unfair to you. Like, so you shouldn't even think about that. And I think as you're looking through things, that's what you should process, that this is just a moment that they chose to share. This is not their true journey. Like, the ups, all the downs, like no one is really posting that grit, grind, low of what they did. You know what I'm saying? Like, even in 6 months, if somebody is up for 6 months, who knows how much they lost in the duration of the first 5 months, and just, that 6 month, that's when it happened. You know what I mean? Like, you don't know the full story. It doesn't matter. Your journey is your journey, and your journey is that way for a reason. So you can only do what you can do in your space with yourself. That's all.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's to me, I look at it as perception over exception. So there is no comparison. You cannot compare yourself with no one and nothing other than yourself. You versus you, as Bo says. Um, and this is why it's so important to do that internal critiquing, because it allows you to see just you. You can only shadow you and watch you and be very mindful and conscious enough of you and the things that you say, how you act, and your behavior, how you feel is so important, because those are the key function of your blueprint. That is you. There is no other. And so that is very important to pay attention to those things and get to know that.
Agree. It's definitely noise. Definitely noise. I would definitely say, if you're not already doing it already, is limit your exposure to social media. I know we all love it, well, most of us. We all be on there, but If you find yourself doing that, like you got to be able to catch yourself um in those moments. Like there's no comparison. You run your journey. I mean, run your race. They ran their race. Um, we don't got the same story. We don't have the same chapters. We don't have the same book. We don't have the same titles. So you got to do what's working in your story and build off of that. Um, but yeah, I'll definitely say limit that noise. And try not to do that. And I will also say too, like when you're journaling, maybe at the end of the week, just come in and just see where you improved at. Like identify your growth and see what you did better this week versus last week, and build off of that. But that whole comparison stuff is for the birds. It's for the birds. Anybody have anything to say on this or any comment on this before I move forward? This is definitely a thing though. Like when I first started trading, like I mean nobody talked about taking L's. You swear nobody took a L. Like you swear nobody took a loss when I first started trading and looking at social media. You swear nobody took a L. They don't share that part. They don't tell you that part. You think they just got here overnight. Nah, this is a struggle. This is a battle that we all gotta go through. All right, last one. Maybe trading is not for me. Maybe trading is not for me. And I feel like this happens partly when we compare ourselves and we looking at social media and we seeing somebody did it quicker or we're not moving as fast as everybody else. We start to have this feeling and we start to judge ourselves um, when we take those L's or when we see somebody else winning and we're comparing our success to their success. So why does this show up for you guys? And what are your thoughts on it?
I think that shows up when you carry a loss longer than you should. Like when you don't address it, when you don't do all the things that we said the best practices to address the loss. And I think this when it sits and simmers, then you build on, you study adding, building a whole case against yourself, and you end up here. That's how I think um this thought comes to mind. And I think to maybe switch it or rebuild that thought would be to ask yourself what part of training is currently overwhelming you, because I feel like it's not that it's not for you, but what is what is causing you to feel this way in this moment right now and address that, see what that is and deal with that.
Mhm. I'll agree with that. The part that you just said, I do feel like when we've been doing this for so long and it feels like we're not growing and it just feels like super slow, like why is it taking so long? I do feel like the mind makes you believe that this is not for you, and then now you're trying to plan your exit. Like, okay, let me go find something else to do. I'm not growing, it's not working. Like I feel like um I definitely agree with that part right there when you said that.
Yeah, I agree too. You have to ask yourself like why the why. The why is the real core of everything. Um, if you feel it's not for you, then why are you here? Why are you doing it? What, you have to release and let it go in order to rebuild. And so I think just letting go of that mindset of our thinking, okay, this is not, or is it questioning, like second guessing yourself. It does define the what you have been generating for this long length of time, the losses, and why are you second guessing it? What was your purpose for coming here in the first place? And so I think just doing that to define that is to actually just take a moment and just do some other type of exercise. I always recommend meditation, getting to yourself, whatever that looks like, doing the breathing exercise. Sometimes it helps to refocus, to reset, and then you could pivot on that. But you there for a reason, and so you have to ask yourself that why and be honest with yourself and be okay with that answer. And I think that helps to um, reset everything for your adjustments.
Yeah, I definitely agree with all of that. I mean, I think the first question when I hear that maybe trading is not for me, why not me? Why? Because I'm running into difficulties. Look, no matter what career field you go into, it's going to come in with its own set of difficulties. So to remind yourself of why you started, and then ground yourself, as was meant, I think Patrice mentioned it earlier, ground yourself and get back to it. You've taken on this field for a reason. So don't second guess yourself or think that you're in the wrong space because you're coming across some difficulties.
I feel like the one way that because I used to think this all the time when I first started, but I feel like the one way I flip this is to say to myself that I'm just becoming the trader that requires this journey, and I just accept it. I accept it. For me to become what I'm trying to become in life, and for me to do what I want to do in life, it's just requiring this journey, and it's not easy. It's not easy, but I'm built for it, tough, and we get through it. We get through it. So that's how I flip it. I'm becoming a trader that this journey requires. Or you can say you're not behind. I'm just becoming like something. But I promise you, this wasn't put into your life um, if it wasn't for you.
Yeah, I think, and adding to that, I think to knowing both sides of the coin, it helps give the balance. Like knowing, like if you step away from it for 30 days or whatever, um, how do you feel at this point? And then now you can cross reference to how you was feeling when you were, and that kind of gives you the sense of balance to kind of come to more of understanding and how you can approach it differently. So I think that helps as well.
This is so true. Trading can't just be for a select few, but not me. Take time to learn to become the trader you want to be, and God's timing can't rush it. Definitely, definitely. They can do it. Why I can't do it? Right? Why can't you? They not no better than you. They are no better than you. They're no better than you. But sometimes we make ourselves believe that they got something on you that you ain't got. That ain't it at all. That's not it at all. All right, so I asked you guys to write down a statement, a habit, that you're dealing with in 2025 that you want to release, and we're gonna release that and rebuild off of that. So, if someone wants to, no pressure, share their statement, their hurdle, that they're releasing and leaving in 2025. Let's release it. Let's speak on it, and let's find a way to rebuild off of that. Anybody want to share? No pressure.
Mine was releasing doubt. I need to release it. I doubt myself way too much. I feel that I put in the time, I show up, I'm there. I have accountable friends that hold me accountable. I talk to you guys, the chat, Mo, B. I think I do everything the right way, but as for some reason, I still have doubt and not trust in. I don't even want to say I don't trust the setup. At this point, it isn't even about the setup anymore. It's just I feel like I'm not trusting myself now. It's past the setup because like I think somebody said earlier, the market is going to do what the market is going to do. So at this point, I just feel as I have self doubt, and that's going to be my focus for 2026 to get over that hurdle.
I'm sorry. Needed some water. Doubt. That's a good one. That's a good one. Releasing doubt as well and rushing into plays, especially those that aren't really there. Grateful for my husband who holds me accountable, keep me on me when he knows I shouldn't be doing something. So let me ask you guys, um, if you've been doing this a while and you trust the charts, what is it that could be causing the doubt that TJ um is experiencing?
For me, I'll be having doubt and controlling my emotions. Like I'll be knowing everything, but I'll come to the chart and be like, dang, I hope I don't get emotional today or something like I always be having a bird in the back of my head, like, don't, don't give it back, don't do this, like, because I know like I'm susceptible of doing it. So I'll doubt that I have control over myself. But I know like I'm overly confident in what I'm seeing on the chart. I'm confident in like the charts is the easy part. It'd be the mental.
You say your
Facts.
past losses, definitely could cause doubt. Um, what would you say, Erica? Not the licks.
Well, it also sounds like you guys need to trust yourselves a little more and to not personalize things as much. Like again, loss happens, right? Does that define you? No. And when you start second guessing yourself, you got to take a step back. Those breaks are so important.
Do you think that does that play into confidence, or can you be confident in doubt? Is that a thing? Is
It
that even?
does it does work against the confidence. And I think doubt is something that we all struggle with to some capacity. It comes in the feelings of doubt, but again, it's feelings. And in those moments, you may have to say, okay, where is this even coming from? And let me separate me from it, right? So if there's loss happening or nervousness coming into play, let me figure out why. But again, that doesn't mean that I'm someone different and that I should doubt me as a person.
Mhm. Oh, we got a long one here, guys.
Huh?
No, I was looking at the message. So we got a long one here. Mine is anxiety. I get very anxious in some of my trades. For me, mindset, doubt, FOMO has been my biggest issue. The charts and the strategy make sense. I started completing pre and post market reflection sheets to address my mental before and after trading, and it's been a huge help for me over the 1.5 months. Yeah, you know I don't like the long ones, King. I let it slide. Um, that's the So what do you do on to reflect? Like, do you identify? Now you good. What do you do? Just go over your trades and um identify the greatness.
Yeah, for me, I go over my trades and I got like a literal like reflection sheet that I worked on with ChatGPT just to, get all the stuff on it that I needed that I noticed was affecting me.
Mhm.
So like I'm addressing you know, all my mental game issues basically. I'm looking at the trades, like did I stick to my plan? Did it work out? You know what I'm saying? And if I'm noticing I'm sticking to my plan, whether I make money, whatever happens, like as long as I'm sticking to my plan, like there's nothing to be upset about. You know what I mean? Like, so for me, like, it's really helped, like, just staying in the moment when I'm trading. You know what I'm saying? Like, when those mental game issues are arising, like, I'm catching it, like, as soon as it happens. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? So, like, I've been able to be, like, a lot more profitable, like, since I started doing that, just because I'm sticking to the strategy and not worrying about anything else.
Okay, that's dope. That's dope. That's dope. Said for me, I wasn't studying enough. Your recent price action videos have helped, and I started going over price action each week. I feel like that's dope. That's dope, Georgina. First off, but I feel like at least for me when I first started, I felt like I was giving my all to studying. But the thing is that if you don't have a strategy, it's like you're wasting your time, right? Because you don't have one simple thing that you can study. Like I'd be all over the place and I'm putting in like 8 hours a day in front of the charts, but I'm all over the place. So that's making me inconsistent in my studying because I'm like, okay, when the market open, which one of these strategies do I go with? Like, do they all gotta align or not? So I feel like once you can simplify your strategy, then that makes that studying easier, right? And then I also feel like people think that they can put in an hour a day and be okay with and be done. Nah, this takes time. This take work, especially when you identify, okay, I'm sticking to this strategy and that's it. You gotta work on that every day. Like I promise you, like I was when I first like when I dedicated myself for like those 3 months, I was probably in front of this computer probably 12 hours, if not more, a day just trying to pinpoint what I'm trying to see from price on this chart and prove it to myself, right? I was really getting my reps in. An hour a day ain't gonna do it. Now, if that's all the time you got, great. You gotta make do with what you gotta do. But understand, and this is where that comparison come in, you putting in an hour a day and somebody else over here probably putting in 15 hours a day, but you don't know that story. But you got to do what works best for you. But once you identify that strategy and you can simplify it, okay, I know this works. I have proof this works. You gotta put in that work. It's not what this. It's really on the job training. Like you really can't just show up and be good. Like it takes time. It takes work, and you got to be okay. You got to be okay with that. You definitely got to be okay with that. But that's dope. Uh, that's working for you. You say that's me. The most. Yeah, see, you got a lot of strategy. You got to pick. I feel like you have so many strategies, Nikki. Like you should be able to take a piece from each one and build your own thing. But I feel like we be trying to do how everybody else do. Oh, this person trade this way, and I see that this works. I'm gonna do it this way. But that might not fully work for me. So like, just take a piece from everybody and build off of that. It don't gotta be the exact same way. Like no two people trade the same, and we gotta be okay with that. Say one of my biggest issues is taking a loss and needing to fix it, get it back in the moment. My body goes into fight or flight, and a $50 loss can turn into me blowing an account. Man, yeah, accepting that L, right? But you got to recognize where did that L come from? Did that L come from you sticking to your plan, or did that L come from you taking a trade that you shouldn't have been in the first place? Then once we can identify that, then we can understand, are we moving from emotions or did I stick to my plan and it just didn't play out and I'm okay with that?
It's usually just emotion and knowing I shouldn't have been in that trade, but
Mm-hmm.
my mind go blank and I just start crashing out. And I'm not on Top Step anymore, so I can't lock up my account. So I just sometimes I'd be having to delete the whole app. But
Dang, it's bad. Worse than Bus. Bus just like her. She said, I'm deleting the whole app. I ain't even just to fall for it. I love it. Gotta find a balance with the 9 to 5 and trading. Yeah, and it's tough. It's tough, but you gotta do what works best for you, right? Not saying you gotta be up outside those hours, but just do what works best for you. Real. He said that's the other piece, identifying my strategy and constantly looking for that when backtesting has been a big confidence booster. Also, let me ask y'all this: how many of y'all backtest the strategy, right? And I say, okay, and you say, okay, when price does this, I'm gonna get into the trade, and then you backtest the strategy, you prove that it worked. Then the market is about to open. You want to see price do something, and price doesn't do it, and then somehow you in a trade. Like, who's done that? And who still does that? Who still does that? Like we all do that, right? But the whole point of back testing and forward testing, the strategy is to stick to the strategy. You can't go outside the strategy. It's when we go outside the strategy, when we go outside our rules to where we suffer these losses and now we try to recoup something we can't get back. Once it's gone, it's gone. It's no, I need to get that back. No, it's gone. And most of the times when we try to get something back, we just took this $50 loss and now it's $200 and now it's $400 and we just stacking on stack, just crap on top of crap on top of crap on top of crap. Like we've all done that. But it's this voice that we all hear that be like, don't do it, Mo, not again. Oh my Lord, here we go. And we still do it. We still do it. That's the energy we gotta release. That's the energy to where we gotta identify it, catch ourselves in that moment that I be talking about, and say, not this time. I'm not gonna do it this way this time. This is emotions. This is emotions trying to control me, and I don't want to be controlled by my emotions. I control my emotions. Trend lines. There's only three setups I'm looking for. Backtesting really might be the best confidence builder. You can make money and not know what you're doing. I say that all the time. There's people out here that have no strategy and they killing it. And we over here stressing about the little things. Like you could be wrong and profitable. Maybe because I think no, maybe I'm wrong. Wow. I've gotten better with not doing that. LOL, shaking my head, forcing trades, gotta find a balance, da da da. And yeah. Yeah. Mama P, Erica, Miss Pat, y'all got something to say on that? Or anything that was said?
I think you guys said it all. I agree with what was said. With only thing I would say about like doubt is if you have doubt, I feel like you just need to figure out where that doubt is coming from. Because if you know what you know, you shouldn't doubt yourself. You know what I mean? Like you should be able to just go for it based on what your analysis and your work that you put in, you should just lead with that, you know. But if there is doubt there, why? Is it nerves or is it true doubt for something? You know what I'm saying? Or are you about to do something that you shouldn't be doing because it's not aligned with what you already said you were going to do? And is that creating that doubt because you know you shouldn't? Or you know what I'm saying? Like I feel like you got to dive into really where that doubt is coming from because it shouldn't be there. If you're doing the work, studying the charts, and you did all that work, you know the answer, you know what's up. Like anything else outside of that is outside of your control, which again, it is tied to the execution. You're executing. And then that alone is what you're supposed to be doing, and that's all. Anything outside of that is not it's not in your control. So
Mm-hmm. Anybody else want to share before we move forward?
Yeah, I just want to leave my perfectionist mindset in 2025. Long as I get rid of that, I think I'll be all right and profitable come next year.
You said perfection is mindset.
Perfection is like I always like being as though like I just now figured out like I'm not always right. Like basically, like I know I'm not always, even if I am, like my setup and everything is right, the trade can still go against me. Like I could have the need to be right. Like I gotta let go of that perfectionist mindset, like I'm always right.
That's tough. And when you write in the real world all the time, that's something that's something I have to struggle with. Like I'm always right, but in trading, you gotta accept that you're not gonna always be right. Like
Yeah. Yeah, I'm just now like really accepting it. So I'm just trying to keep that mindset come 2026 and I should be all right next year as long as I keep that mindset.
don't hate Marcus. Don't hate. Don't hate.
yeah, I think that's a correct way to view the market because you got to understand too that this is a learning space. You know, it's all about learning, and no day is the same. So you can't be perfect and know and predict and all these things when no day is the same, no trade is the same. So you have to allow yourself that learning curve, and that's okay. You know, so I do I get that. Like I get that not being perfect because it's not meant for you to be perfect in this market, in this space. So allowing yourself to understand that could, you know, help you out and be beneficial to you.
Yeah,
And, the reality of it is nobody is always right. And I think looking for perfection also rids you of the opportunity to grow.
hold on. I don't know.
If I think I'm right all the time, what's the point?
I mean, I think it.
But it's also not facts. Because again, nobody is right all the time.
I think it.
Okay.
Uh, but I agree. I agree. I agree. All right, so like I always say, you versus you versus you. As we close out this masterclass, I do want to leave you guys with something simple but real. And that is trading has always been a you versus you journey. It's not you versus the market. It's not you versus the other traders y'all see out there on social media. It's not you versus your last results. It's you versus the patterns you're trying to break and the version of the you that you are becoming daily. Um, so understand that the charts don't know your fears, they don't know your bills, they don't know your past. The charts don't know your childhood history. Um, to money in that story, it doesn't know that. It doesn't know the pressures that you put on yourself. The charts only reflects you, your discipline, your clarity, your emotional control, and your readiness. So we release the stories that keep us trading scared. We release the belief that one mistake defined us. We release the pressures to have it all figured out in one day. We release that. We're leaving that energy in 2025. In 2025, we're releasing that energy where we're building our discipline so it's not emotional, it's automatic. Like I said, it should flow. Something yells to you to tell you not to get into a trade, don't get into the trade. It should just flow. It should be easy. We rebuild our relationship with money so it's not tied to our identity. We rebuild our confidence so our wins or our losses are the foundation and it doesn't shake us. Every trader here is entering into the new year, and the truth is, the market isn't changing for you. The market is not going to change for you, but you could change to whatever market is being presented at the time. And that's going to help you in the journey that we are stepping into. So, you 2025 versus you 2026 should be two totally different people. And it could look like the same profits at the end of 2026, but I promise you, you grew somewhere in 2020, 2026. So what we release today is not weakness, it's that weight. It's the old us. It's those old stories that no longer lead us. What we are rebuilding going into this new year is not perfection, it's alignment with self. It's alignment with trust. It's alignment with new discipline. It's alignment with patience. And that comes from clarity and not fear. We can't move with fear in 2026. Excuse me. So you don't need to become someone else to succeed. You just need to stop carrying what isn't yours anymore. Let it go. Let's release it. So as we step into this new year, we have to release what has held us back and we rebuild with that patience, with that discipline, with that emotional control, and with that belief that this is for us. This is a you versus you journey, and today you decided to show up. So let's rebuild from there. I want to thank my guests, Miss Pat Lewis, Miss Erica Martin, and Mama P. I thank you guys for joining me today. I thank everybody who showed up for themselves today. I appreciate you guys for being here. Hopefully, you guys can take pieces and build off of this going into 2026 and understand, yeah, this is the hardest part of trading, right? Is the mindset. But if we can just get out of our way and we can identify these things and these habits that we've created, and we can identify those habits and look at them straight in the face and say, this is you from 2025, and this is not going to be you in 2026, we can move forward with that going into 2026 and beyond and become those traders that we are trying to become. And we're becoming. Every day that we show up, we are becoming the traders that we want to become. Once it's upload, I'm going to put it in the portal under the masterclass tab. If you're not in the Telegram, I'm going to email this to you guys. And when you have those moments, pull up this video and go back to that moment that you're having and replay that and grab some of those practical tools that we talked about and grow and catch yourself and move yourself out of your way so you become the traders that you want to become. I thank you guys for joining me. I thank my guests. Thank you everybody for being here. You guys have a blessed rest of your 2025. Have a blessed 2026. And I promise you this is for you. You just got to trust and believe it. Thank you guys.